everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Scott Davis. I'm the host of Around the World with Alltour. I'm Senior Vice President of Alltour Brands and oversee cruise and tour operations. I'm very happy today to have our guest, Mark Moore, the Vice President of Kensington Tours, joining us to tell us more about Kensington. This is a brand that we've worked with for many years, and I think you guys will all be excited to hear more from Mark. Mark, let me start off with the first question today. Please tell our guests more about Kensington Tour and where you started and a little history.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. So Kensington Tours, we were actually founded 16 years ago. And the honest story is we started on a kitchen table in a kitchen. We had two guys that decided, which are still with us and are still our original owners. Really, that's how Kensington started, on a kitchen table. And early on, we had a vision, and we knew that we would only specialize, and we really were only interested in this thing called custom private travel, which 16 years ago really was not a big thing, right? So we were really one of the very first companies to actually really grow and start this thing. So early on, we decided that, custom and private guided is the only thing we would do. And so that seemed like a very simple thing we would start. And so we quickly realized planning these highly, highly complex trips is super, super complicated and very lengthy. So our owner is actually has a background in technology, and we actually quickly realized that we had to quickly build a platform that would allow us to take something very complex and make it very simple and quick and easy to book. So behind the scenes, we're a big technology driver, but really our technology is key to why we can turn around highly complex trips very, very quickly. So a bit of history. Our owner actually grew up in the Congo. He was a missionary kid, and later in life actually relocated to North America. He's an adventurer by heart. He toured the globe by Jeep for several years, and that's really where he caught this bug of travel, right? So we then initially had only plans to really become an Africa tour operator. We started in Africa, and that was our plan. And then we very quickly realized that, this thing called custom private guided really was an opportunity globally. So fast forward a few years ahead, 16 years into it, we now offer over 150 countries around the globe, all 7 continents. And we haven't slowed down since.
Well, that's fantastic. And I also know from our advisors that the people they deal with at Kensington are great to work with, and the details that you can get into. Why don't you tell us some of the differences between Kensington and the traditional tour operators?
Sure.
And I know you do not do escorted. We're talking about private tours. So I'll let you tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's really 2 words, right? So there's many great group operators out there that do shared groups and small groups and buses. But an easy way to know what Kensington is what we're not. And what we're not is a group operator. We don't do groups of any sort. We don't get involved in buses. So all of our journeys involve a private guide, a private driver. The journey is 100% customized. Every journey is unique on its own. Nothing is cookie cutter. So there's really kind of 4 pillars that we look at when we think of Kensington. First one is everything is completely private journey, right? The second thing is really the planning part of it. So when we plan these journeys, the individual that actually plans this journey is typically someone that was born in their country of expertise. They grew up there, they worked there. We actually continue to fly them back multiple times a year just to educate them. The third thing is our guides are always local. So some other companies have guides here in the US, they train them in the US, and then they fly them to foreign countries. We decided it was important that guides actually are local and always from the country. And then the final thing, which kind of was a boring thing before the pandemic, was 24/7 support. And you can imagine everything that's happened here in the last couple of years. So support is key. So we have 24/7 support here in North America. We have it also in country. And there's someone on our end that actually monitors every single trip and every aspect of every trip on a daily, ongoing basis. So that's Kensington Tours.
Oh yeah, I can tell you from some experiences. I know the clients working with our advisors have different interests. They may want to visit every museum in town, or they may want to go and visit something out of place. Well, we'll ask that question in a couple minutes. But sure. Why don't you tell us the most popular destinations for 22? Where is everybody going?
So early 22, it was whatever was opening was popular, right? So we had some countries that were probably traditionally not in our hotspots as soon as they opened, while others remained closed. We had places like Iceland and Scandinavia quickly moving to the #1 spot, which traditionally has not happened before, but not much has changed. Early in 2022, US was very popular. No surprise there. People wanted to stay closer to home. We launched that product actually about a year ago or so. So national parks, Alaska, Hawaii were extremely popular. And then we moved kind of into this part of 2022. And, it's not much has changed. The traditional hotspots, France, UK, Ireland, Italy, those have remained #1. We've had a few newcomers that have quickly kind of moved to the #1 spots. Greece is more popular than it's ever been before. Turkey has come back very, very strong. I think Turkey is probably in our top 5. And then exceptionally beyond that, it's probably, I would say, North and West Africa. So those are spots that we've always serviced and that always have been the hot spots. But as we kind of continue into this year, really our focus is what's actually available, right? So these destinations are booking out very, very quickly. I think it's the first time in our history that we actually have destinations that are actually sold out for this year. That has never happened before. So for us, it's really been pivoting and saying, here's a long list of other countries that are equally as interesting, or maybe even more so, and perhaps even at a lower price point, that are actually wide available. So, we have some great itineraries into Zanzibar, Madagascar, parts of Kenya that are still wide open. So our pivot has been really what's actually available. And that's kind of what's driving the rest of the year here.
What are you seeing in 23? Any new destinations, any new type of products? I think you're looking into yachts. I think you can already do villas. Yeah. We're finding more and more requests for yachts and villas. Yeah. So what are you seeing for 23?
Yeah, 23 in terms of what's hot and what's popular, not much has changed. 23 is actually booking pretty well, right? So there's really two scenarios we have amongst travelers. They're either booking extremely close in, like never before, 30 to 60 days out, or they're going the other way and they're booking way into 23. So I think part of the issue has been 23 is again becoming very, very limited. So traditional hotspots have been UK, Ireland, Italy, Egypt, Northeast, and probably Southern Africa are amongst the tops. But like you said, about a year ago or so, we launched some new product, and we were really busy during the pandemic actually launching and creating new product. So one of the new exciting things we've done is launch a yacht product. So when you think of Kensington being custom, right, by land, we took the same concept and we actually took it to the water. So yachting with Kensington means your own vessel, your own crew, you have your private chef. And yes, we have an itinerary planned out prior to you leave. But just like our land product, once you're in destination, you can easily pivot and kind of change the way the itinerary flows, right? So in terms of yachts, where do we go? Typically, I'd say the two hotspots during the summer season is the Med. And then in the winter season, it's actually closer to home. It's Bahamas, Caribbean. But just to kind of give you an idea, we have access to over 1,400 vessels around the globe, and not just globally, but we also have some very close to home. So we have some vessels up into New England, Napa, actually, which you wouldn't think much for yachting, but it's been extremely popular. And then beyond yachting, we really expanded our North America line, and for us that meant, for the first time, really expanding into our own backyard. We had been so focused around globally in the world that we really had never really given much thought to our own backyard. And particularly during the pandemic, it turned into by far our #1 booking spot. So we learned that private guide and custom, there is a spot for that here in North America. Okay. And the way that works is, unique access off the beaten track, away from the crowds. Even I personally did national parks with us this summer. And, we went to Utah and I saw these massive crowds and I thought, oh my goodness, like I had no desire to go there. But what was unique about it is that we actually went off the lesser known parks, and which had very few people there and were equally as nice. We were easily able to pivot. So national parks is very popular, Alaska more than ever. And then a few months ago, we also expanded into all the Hawaiian Islands. So that was #2. And then #3 is we partnered with Ancestry. So getting into family heritage tours, right? So the way logistically that this works is that we partner with Ancestry, and they pull your DNA and your family history, and then we wrap a journey around that theme in itself. So we kind of have 3 different levels. We have one very basic that kind of touches on, where we travel to the places your family is from, all the way into a very deep dive where we actually make sure you meet the family. You go to some of the cemeteries, you actually get to meet some of the family and the places they worked, and at an extremely deep level. And so that's been extremely popular, and not just in places like Europe and Latin, but also in places like Ghana in Western Africa. So we've been busy, and we've launched some great new product.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, tell us some of the most unusual requests that you have fulfilled for clients.
Yeah, so we'll keep it G-rated here.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's boy, that's a tough question.
Well, I do know that we've given you a couple.
Yes.
I remember one that was very specific on the kind of transfers they wanted. So yes. I do know you can do it. So
yes, yeah. So I think a good one was we had some clients that are extremely well traveled and had been to Europe and Italy many times. So they came to us and they said, we want to go to Venice, but we don't want to see any tourists. So if you've ever been to Venice, particularly during the day, you have some large cruise ships pulling in, and it's a wonderful place. But so we thought, how do we do this? How do we actually, we can't say no, because we say yes to everything pretty much. So what we quickly realized is if you've been to Venice during the day and you've been to Venice at night, it's a very completely different place. Venice in the evening is a completely different atmosphere than it's during the day, right? So you have many of the crowds, the cruise ships have departed. If you've been there before in the evening, even the restaurant menus change. And even the pricing changes. So the locals come out, it's a completely different place at night. So we said, how do we do Venice without the tourists? And for us, what that meant is actually doing it by night. So the private guided part of it started actually at 8 o'clock in the evening when it was actually dark. So we went to Doge Palace, St. Mark's Basilica. We took a food tour, and all during the evening. And so there was no crowds, and it was a very, very different Venice than it's during the daytime. And, I don't know if there were no tourists, but probably 90% less than you would expect. And that's, I think that really speaks to kind of how we do our touring, right? We purpose, people say or ask us, what changed during the pandemic? Have you veered away from the crowds? Have you changed things up? And the honest answer is no, we haven't changed anything. We operate our journeys exactly the same way we did prior to the pandemic. Our touring has always been away from the crowds during off times, very much on purpose. So, and that, to me, that's kind of the best example, and many others if you want them, but that kind of speaks to how we operate.
Well, and as we know, Kensington is well known for their private, customized tours. No request is a no. So Mark, I want to thank you today for joining us. And if any of our guests who are watching this today would like more information on Kensington, and if you reach out to your All Tour agent, advisor. If you do not have an All Tour advisor, all you have to do is email leisure@alltour.com. That's ALTOUR, and we can have someone reach out to you. So Mark, again, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure.